Hey everyone, this is our Bicep community call of June 26th. We don't have many updates this month, hence why it is a 30-minute meeting. And because of that, we're only going to be doing a patch release. So we focus mainly on bugs, have a small feature out, and some of our bigger stuff is just going to be released next month in the next release of 0.37. So for this patch release, one of the big bugs that was fixed, we found that if any output in a module has or contains a secure object or secure string type, the list outputs with secure values API will be used for all outputs. Now that we fixed that, the compiler will use the list outputs with secure values to dereference any output, sensitive or not, from a module that contains any sensitive outputs. This solution ensures that the list function will only be used when the specific output being referred to is sensitive. So we wanted to make sure this was out for this patch release. I think some people were having issues with this. The second one, we found some bug fixes we had some bug fixes for the new Bicep snapshot command. This is still only experimental, but if you want more information on the bug fixes or the feature itself, you can find them in our release notes when we release it. I think the Bicep snapshot should have more information on our GitHub. And our last small feature we added was to allow identity snippets to be provided when inside an identity property in resources or modules. I think some people may be excited about this. We have some things in store as to why we are adding these snippets. Hopefully there are no other questions, and we could move on to our first topic. Sydney?
Hello, everyone. Whoa, my video's kind of slow. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's rather gloomy here in Seattle, so hopefully it's nice, beautiful summer weather wherever you are. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. But if you've been around the Bicep project for a long time or are newer to it like me, you've still probably heard about this elusive Bicep 1.0. Bicep has never officially done a 1.0 version, and so we've been talking. Maybe now is the time. It's been 5 years. It would be great to get out a 1.0 milestone, and where you guys can help us as we're making this decision and sort of making commitments around what will be included and what won't be included is to help us prioritize this list. So I'll share my screen. I'll show you what we're looking at. Awesome. So I'm going to assume you're all familiar with the Bicep GitHub repo. All I did to get to this is I went to issues here, and then under milestones, I selected the 1.0 milestone. And you can see right now we have 9 items listed in here that we are considering for 1.0. I added an additional tag 1.0 consider for the work items that in our most recent discussions were more on the bubble of whether they'll be included or not. But what you can do is go to this milestone and give us feedback on these items if you think that they are important and should be prioritized for the 1.0 milestone, or if there are other issues that are missing, feel free to tag me in them on GitHub. I can put my GitHub, will show if I hover over this, in the chat as well, so that everyone has it handy. The other thing that would be great to know from folks is how urgent you feel we should get out 1.0. Personally, I'd love to get it out in the next 6 months or so, which means we're going to have to make some tough cuts about what features are in it and what aren't. But if you think we should take a longer, shorter time horizon, would also be interested to hear that as well and make this a real community effort. So I think that's about all I've got from the Bicep 1.0 front.
Cool. Thanks, Sydney. Does
Yeah,
anyone
thank
have
you.
any questions about 1.0? You could raise your hand, come off mute.
Yes, I put the milestone, I believe, in the chat, but I will also put my information in the chat as well.
Cool. Thanks, Sydney. We can move on to our next topic then. Anthony?
Yeah, so I think on the last community call, I gave a quick overview of local deploy, and some of the feedback I got was that the name was confusing. I think the confusion came about because for me, I was thinking local as in it's not running inside of Azure. So it's not running server side, it's running on your local machine. But then the presentation I gave was all about talking to GitHub and talking to MS Graph. And so I think for other people looking at this, it's like, why is this local? Because it is talking to external services. So I just wanted to get any ideas from the community on like, is the naming confusing there, and did people have a better idea for how we could name the feature generally? So I didn't come with anything prepared. So if you have thoughts, please feel free to share them in the chat. And that's about all I had. Kind of local. So currently the command looks like this. It's like bicep local deploy. So
Yeah, any ideas you guys have, put it in the chat or raise an issue as well. I think they would like to know what people are thinking.
I guess I'll just add one thing quickly. Oh,
yep,
sorry.
go on.
Yeah. One thing we were discussing internally in this conversation that came up was dropping the local and just saying bicep deploy. So it would also be interesting to hear if folks think that that would be confusing or if that would get across the message clearly.
Thanks for sharing. Oh, interesting. Azure Local. I hadn't really heard of that, but I think it would be good not to confuse it with any other features projects out there. Okay, that is all the topics we have today. We can spend the rest of the time on Q&A. So does anyone have any questions or want any updates to features? Please raise your hand or come off mute. Any update on testing? I'm not sure, Emily, if you have anything. I know Alex dropped, so Emily, I think you're the last one.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Brett. We, after the last time we touched on testing, we went back with our group and have been looking into the 3 testing phases that everybody, if you were here during that meeting, we took a poll as to which testing phases are most important to folks. From that poll, we heard that pre-deployment testing was the most requested area. And so we went back to try to define some of the technical limitations and technical feasibility of pre-deployment testing. That said, we haven't continued work on any of the particular testing features. We're trying to map out all of the testing features that you've been, or testing adjacent features that exist within Bicep. If you have any specific requests or specific comments on that as to what you're looking for testing, like what you would want an update specifically on, that could be really helpful to guide our internal work on it. Let me know in the chat, or if you want to come off mute, would appreciate where the question's coming from. For example, like I know we touched on the test and assert. Oh, you're in the supermarket. No worries at all. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to expose you there. But have a think, and you can contact me on Teams or email if you have anything specific that you'd like to hear updates on there or any feedback in particular. And we'll keep that in mind to provide an update in an upcoming community call on our work on that or on GitHub.
Cool. Thanks for the question, Brett, and thanks for answering, Emily. There was a question on Whatif in fixing the short circuiting. Angel, do you want to give a quick update or maybe reiterate from the last call if hasn't been many changes?
Yeah, sure. So for what if short circuiting, we just kicked off the deployment to make this globally available. The expectation is that by end of this month, so on the 30th of June, this will be available for everyone. And we're monitoring the deployment such that if anything happens, we'll let you all know if there is any delay. But so far, everything's looking good. So yeah, by end of this month, that should be available to everyone.
Cool. Thanks for the update, Angel. Looking through the comments here. I think there's a lot of good ideas for the local deploy statement. Someone mentioned host deploy, custom deploy, Bicep deploy, local with the, I guess, the -- local. I think these are some great ideas. For whoever will be watching this on YouTube later, yeah, please put a comment if you have any ideas as well. Angel, I think there's a question for you. What if come to Stacks once the rollout is completed for the short circuit fix?
No, so Stacks Whatif is a separate API. That's new work that it's also been started. It's in the works. It'll be available within the coming months, but not at the end of this month. The short circuiting fix applies to the existing Whatif API, which is also used on top of the new Stacks Whatif API that makes use of the existing Whatif API. But Whatif for deployment stacks is something that is currently in the works, and we expect it to become available later, like towards end of August, middle of September-ish.
All right, thanks for the update. Hopefully that answers your guys' questions. Feel free to ask any more follow-up questions to anything. Checking if there's any questions I may have missed. I don't see any more in the chat. I'll give another 20 seconds for anyone to raise their hand and come off mute if they have any other questions. And in the meantime, Emily created this slide last month. I think this is really great to put all of the social media accounts here. We have an X and Blue Sky account. I think everything we post on both at the same time. So if you're not on X, you'll see the post on Blue Sky and vice versa. And we also have a LinkedIn group, the Azure Bicep users group. I don't think we had realized this until a couple months ago, but Dan Rios and John Lokers run this one, and they stay updated with everything and give updates anytime something is out. So it's a great place to know what's going on in the user area. I think there's one question. Any of this coming to Radius soon? I'm not sure who would be the best to answer this because Alex is not here. I don't think we have an answer to this, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'll say I don't
Sydney,
have an immediate answer to this. I know we do work closely with the Radius team and all that. And I'm not entirely sure what cadence it is, but I do know that the Radius team does have their own community call. And so I can try and find the link for that if folks are interested in joining there as well.
Yes. Jan Henrik or Jen Henrik?
I have a question for deployment stacks. So recently I had the case where a customer wanted to use deployment stacks to make sure that some infrastructural components cannot be touched and deleted and so on. So that's one of the features of deployment stacks with deny assignments. But then they realized that you can easily remove the deny assignments on the deployment stacks when you have permissions on, for example, a subscription level, and you just delete the whole deployment stack, then the resources will just be detached and not be deleted. So I just want to know if this is intended behavior or if this is a bug that I should file or something.
If the user has access to that deployment stack, then yes, that's possible. What we recommend in this case is using RBAC. The user should not have access to the resource ID that represents that deployment stack.
The problem is that this was basically used as some kind of like ransomware protection, if you wanna name it like that, because they wanted to make sure that even if you delete the stack, that if the policies are set to delete on detach, that the resources are rather deleted than that they can be manipulated. So, and the assumption was that if you set the policy to not only delete but also detach but also delete, that if you delete the whole stack, that the resources are also deleted, and that this not just bypasses the deny assignment basically.
I think it would be good for us to follow up on this specific scenario, because I'm not sure if the delete you're describing is coming from deleting the stack itself or directly on the resources. Because whenever you delete a stack, the last value passed into action on unmanaged is what gets honored. The stack might have been created with an action on unmanaged setting of detach, for example. But if on delete of that stack, the new value is delete all for action unmanaged, that's what the stack is going to try and do.
Yeah, that didn't work. That was the thing, that it was created with delete on detached, but only the deny assignments were deleted, but all the resources stayed there. So
gotcha. Then yeah, if you have any correlation ID related to this one, please reach out and feel free to just send it to my email, and we can get the whole Stacks crew on it and take a deeper look into this. That kind of sounds like a bug.
Okay. Thank you.
There's a question on, thanks Angel. Question on version pinning to the specific Bicep version.
I can say that it's something we Levy on the team, who I think is on the call, might be on the call, wrote a design doc for this, and it's in the list for Bicep 1.0 right now. So that would be an example of one to vote up if you you really want it in the 1.0 release, but it's tentatively in our plans right now.
Thanks for the update. I think that should be all of the questions here. Anything else? Great. Thanks everyone for coming, and I'm glad to have this at 2 p.m. This time, because I know we haven't been accommodating the other time zones, so sorry about that, but there's been a lot of people who have been wanting to present, and their only time zone is the other time. All right. Thanks, everyone, and have a great weekend.